Hey guys, welcome back. This is Pastor Tito here, and we are concluding our youth series called What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do. And today our focus is going to be about just what our initial reaction ought to be, should be, when someone does something that hurts us and we know about it. In fact, this is something that we know what we want to do, right? Because we've been talking about what to do when we don't know what to do. Well, this is something that when it happens to you, you know what you want to do. But it's usually, and we're going to notice that it's not the best way forward. And let me give you an example. When I was a kid on my birthday, I think I was like maybe 6 or 7. I think I was more like 5. I don't know. I had a birthday party at my grandma's house, and there was a kid who was just being a jerk. At my birthday party, he was being a jerk and apparently was blowing bubbles into my eyes. And this was back in the 80s, and so, you know, we didn't have that tear-free stuff, and so this stuff burned. And so this kid would just go up and, you know, just blow these bubbles in my face. And I mean, get me in my eyes, and I'm crying, and I'm yelling, and whatever. And it just, all day, this was happening throughout my entire party, all right? Where was this kid's parent? I don't know. But eventually, I remember going inside, having to wash my eyes out again, and my grandma tells me, hey, what's going on? And I was like, oh, the kid keeps on blowing bubbles in my eyes. And she said, well, don't let him do it again. I was like, okay. So apparently I was about to eat, okay, I had this big one of those charm lollipops, right, the big ones. And so I was trying to eat one of those, and the kid goes up again, blows bubbles in my eyes. And apparently I blacked out, apparently, and something happened. And I had took that, you know, that big lollipop that I had and beat the kid with it, apparently. I don't know, I just pounced on him and just right on the top of his head. And I don't remember that, I just remember the story of what was told after. So the only fight I've ever really been in, at least I won. But anyways, the thing is that, see, when somebody does something to you that hurts you, tell me, your initial reaction is to do what I did. Now, not pummel someone with a lollipop, no, but it's to get back at them, right? Payback. What to do, like, that's what do we do when all we want to do is pay that person back? Well, that's going to be the focus today, is really wrestling with that. And there's many ways that you and I go for payback, right? We either go for public payback, right? We just kind of put them on blast, or we do something in front of people. There's passive payback. Some of y'all, sometimes it's that passive stuff that really hits hard. And then there's imaginary payback, right? Think about that. Maybe you don't got the guts to be able to do anything, but you just play, you just put that, man, if I could, if I would, right? And just let that play in your head. Now, it feels good, right? It feels good to think about, man, if I just could, right? It feels good sometimes to even do those things and to pay that person back because they owed you this, right? Whatever, right? It feels good to do that at first. All right, maybe for some of you, like, nah, man, it just feels good all the time. Well, hey, we'll pray about that, because maybe there's a little condition of the heart that we need to deal with. But at the end, it does not do any good for anyone. You know, in fact, let's look at how Joseph, when he had a chance, because we've been looking at the life of Joseph throughout this whole series, what to do when you don't know what to do. And look at how Joseph approached his opportunity for payback, and it was a juicy one. Now, we've seen that Joseph's life is crazy, man. He goes, he's the 12th brother, right? He's the 12th kid of his father. And here he has a scenario, you know, he's being treated unfairly. Well, the others are treated more unfairly. He is the favorite, right? He gets all the perks, he gets all this, all that, all the love. Some of y'all siblings, y'all kind of know that. He's the baby of the family at this moment, but eventually he has a little baby brother, and so that's kind of a big deal there. But anyways, he goes, and his brothers hate his guts. They sell him into slavery. He goes off, and he's out there. The brothers lied to the father, saying that he had been murdered, and so he's off, and he works his way up, right? He is the top servant of the whole house of Potiphar, which was a high-ranking Egyptian official in Egypt. And then the wife accused him of raping her, right? But it didn't happen. And so because she lied, he went to prison for doing something that, hey, he didn't commit. He did the right thing. He tried to run away, but hey, he got punished for it for whatever reason. But then in jail, he works hard. He's now running the jail, assisting the jail. He's still a prisoner, but he's such a good, his character and his work ethic is just so amazing that the chief, of the prison guard there has Joseph helping out. He helps two people with a dream. One person dies, right? And you can check that story out later. Another one, actually, he helps them. He goes back and has his story or has his job back with Pharaoh again. And so the person forgets about Joseph. He helped him out. He encouraged him while he was down. And he forgot about him for 2 years. But then Pharaoh has a dream. Joseph comes back, helps Pharaoh. Pharaoh's like, yo, this guy's awesome. And he actually promotes Joseph to be now the Prince of Egypt, second in command. And he's running everything. The only one that is his boss is Pharaoh himself. And then here is where that juicy moment comes. There's a famine throughout the whole land. And we see this in Genesis 45. And the brothers who had thought that, man, who knows what happened to Joseph? They don't know what had happened to him since the years, and it's been decades now, since they had sold him into slavery. And here, they come to Egypt because Egypt is the only place in the known world at the time that actually had grain and food because the famine was bad. And here they are standing, all of Joseph's brothers are there, standing before their own little brother that they sold into slavery. Not knowing it was him because he had grown up by now. Who knows, maybe makeup and a bunch of other things. He's looking like an Egyptian, talks like an Egyptian now. So whatever. And here is Joseph. His brothers are desperate. They have no food. They are now dependent on him. Their lives are in his hands. He had a moment to pay them back for all that they had done, all the years of struggle and just being a prisoner. What would you have done if you had that position of power? Well, we see what Joseph did. He forgave them. Now, there's a crazy little story that goes, and I want to encourage you to read it yourself, but in the end, he's bawling his eyes out, crying and saying, I'm your brother. I'm the one you sold into slavery. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything to you. Because they were scared when they realized that it was Joseph. He forgave them. And they all hugged it out and everything was and they were shocked to see, oh my gosh, like, how could he find this love to forgive us? Well, how did he have the ability to forgive his brothers? Well, because remember, even the stuff that we were talking about, he always remained faithful to God. The reason why he was able to forgive his brothers is because God gave him a different perspective. Instead of payback, he had a different perspective. And we see it when Joseph tells his brothers, listen, God sent me here. Some of the brothers were like, no, you got here because we sold you. It's like, no. See, this is what happens when you give your life and everything over to God. Where in reality, he was sold. But then God was like, no, he changed his perspective. I sent you here. I sent you here so you can save the lives of your family and save the lives of the world. This is where God can position you for your purpose. We talked about this, right? And he says this amazing thing. It's like, what you meant for my ruin, God meant it for your benefit. See, I love that verse. I love that perspective that Joseph has, that God gave him. Because we can realize, and this is Romans 8:28, that God can take all things and make them work together for our good, for those who are called by God, and loved by God for his purposes. See, this is why the whole payback thing, we have to be careful not to just pay people back, because those are all opportunities for us to shine the light of Jesus. Because see, Joseph was the ultimate Jesus. Joseph was the ultimate Jesus. You and I were the brothers who have sinned against God. And if there was anyone in the world who ought to judge us and pay us back for what we have done, it is God. Yet Jesus, as sitting at the right hand of the Father, looks at us and says, I forgive you. That's amazing. And because God is able to forgive our sins, which is insane, through a relationship with him, he gives us the ability to be able to forgive others. Now, I'm not saying that you got to be a pushover. I'm not saying, that you can't do this in a responsible way. But listen, the important part is this. We talk, and you know this. There's been times when you've paid someone back. But in paying them back, listen, that's not justice. That is, you are responding to sin by sinning. And that keeps you from finding true peace. So I ask you, do you want payback or do you want peace? And so that's the one thing that I want to encourage you to do. So what do you do when all you want to do is pay someone back? Well, here's the application. Ready? When you don't know what to do and all the option is left is to pay them back, rather pursue peace. Pursue peace. All right? That is an opportunity that we have to shine the light of Christ. Because listen, Jesus is the ultimate peacemaker. And as Christians, he is calling us to be peacemakers in a very chaotic world. And there is power when we become those peacemakers like Jesus through the Holy Spirit. Okay? We change and we become free because now we don't have that shame and that guilt and all that other stuff. But you know what? And if the other person, if the other person is a jerk, the other person doesn't want to forgive you or not forgive you or ask for forgiveness, then hey, that's on them. But at least you can walk free in peace with God. And so pursue peace. The best way to do that is, hey, when you're hurt, pursue the Prince of Peace. Pursue God. And he will help you. He will take that offense. He will. Because listen, Jesus paid for it. Talking about payback, Jesus paid for that offense. He paid for the ability for you to be healed from everything on the cross. Jesus had already paid for that ability. You don't got to pay anybody back. And what's awesome is you don't even have to pay Jesus back for all that he is doing for you. He just asks you to keep pursuing him, following him, fall in love with him as much as he loves you. That's it. Pursue peace in the relationship. Pursue peace and lay down your right to pay someone back like Christ did. And you're going to see that God will make a difference in your life and through your life. Now, I know that's not easy. I know for me to tell you, pursue peace, that's hard. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you don't know how to. Well, that's where a community is important. That's why friends are important. That's why your small group leader is important. That's why your church is important, to come alongside you, to help you, to pursue peace together, not alone. All right? And you can do that. And so I want to encourage you, the best way to do that, listen, pursue the Prince of Peace. All right? If you don't know what to do, just pursue the Prince of Peace, and he will not only guide you on how to pursue peace in your relationships, but that peace will reign inside of your heart.